Hello all, welcome to Lead Technologies. In this session, we'll discuss about TCA module from the technical point of view. So TCA means Trading Community Architecture. We'll try to understand what are things comes as a part of TCA and what are tables involved and how it is interrelated to other modules. Let's get into overview. So we'll try to understand what is TCA, whether it's an application, whether it's a module, or how exactly it is related to other modules, and what are the major components which you generally come across in the TCA, and the tables and the queries and the navigation which are involved in this particular TCA. So TCA is more of an architecture rather than a module. Like unlike if we let us say if we consider a supplier, sorry, unless if you consider like a purchase order or order management or maybe a general ledger. So this is a kind of an architecture which is built upon to support all the other particular B2B communication as well as B2C communication between the different modules. So in this generally like when you deal with TCA, you always deal about like a parties, suppliers, customer, banks, branches, and all these things. So I'm not getting into much particular functional overview. I just want to give an overview from the technical point of view for a developer when they work in a particular module, like maybe let us say if you're working a purchase order module or a sales order model, you always come across a particular point, particular like a detail is required. Let us say if you want to display AR invoice report, you need to display customer details. If you want to display AP invoice report, you have to display a supplier details. And let us say if you're working on a supplier conversion or like a customer conversion, you just need to have a clarity on what is this heads at parties, what is a party, what is a customer, what is a supplier, what exactly the difference, why they are interrelated, right? So we'll just try to give a basic level of glance about the tables involved and how can you design a better query so that you'll have much clarity when you design your report or conversion programs or technical programs involved in that. Yeah. So as I said, your TCA is just like a particular technology, or I can say a foundation on which Oracle built such a way that it can integrate all this particular B2B components or like customers or suppliers with all other particular modules in a very efficient manner, right? So generally, basic example is let us say if you want to create a purchase order, you require a supplier. If you want to create a sales order, you require a customer. But how exactly the customer comes into picture? Nothing but like how you have to create a particular customer or supplier before you perform an action in the purchase order or sales order. In the same way, like a receipt or maybe AP invoice or maybe AR invoice, right? So the basic thing is we'll just try to understand how it is created and what are the tables involved and which tables you have to use it when you want to integrate with other modules. So one basic thing is like whenever you create a supplier or a customer, always you'll see a record in headset parties. But how do you distinguish whether the component which you see in headset parties is a supplier or a customer? That can be easily identified using a table called headset party usage assignments. So make use of this particular party usage code, and based on this, you can easily identify whether a particular party is a supplier or a customer, right? So in my system, when I just try to find out the distinct party usage code, I just come across around 14 things. Generally, the most important things which you generally come across is banks, branches, customers, and suppliers. These are the major important components you generally come across. That's the reason in this particular presentation, I'll try to just give an overview of suppliers, customers, banks, and branches. So this is one of the Oracle Metalink document. You can just try to understand like how you can you distinguish, right? So in the headset parties, you'll have the data of customers, suppliers, banks, and branches. But how do you distinguish whether the particular record belongs to customer, supplier, bank, or branches? Just make use of this particular headset party usage assignment, and based on the party usage code, you can easily identify whether it belongs to appropriate entity. And how do you create a supplier and a supplier and a single party? So generally just now we discussed that let's assume that you have a particular business relationship with one of the company or maybe an entity, I can say. So you have a business relationship and you want to consider it as a supplier as well as customer both, right? So if you want to consider that particular scenario, you can just follow this particular instruction and you can understand you can just try to perform the same supplier as a customer. First of all, you have to create a supplier with that name, so it will create a record in the headset parties table as well as AB supplier. Of course, it's a view and they are linked in a different way. And then for the same supplier, you can just create a customer. So to perform that particular functionality, you just need to make sure that you have to enable a profile called AR show parties without accounts in DQM. So based on this, you can create a customer based on a supplier. Okay, now this is one of my sample which I created. So here what I've done is I just went into like a purchase order responsibility where I created a particular supplier with the name lead tech and have given address. So when I perform creation of a supplier with the address details, what happened was, if you just see right side, like I mentioned, headset parties, I could see there are 3 records. One is the last record. If you observe, this is a lead tech, and which is a party type organization, and the remaining which are created as a contact. So when I created supplier, I mentioned that what is a contact. So it created person type as a contact, right? Another one is a party relationship. So contact, like this particular person is related to this organization based on what is the relationship. So that's what is mentioned in the first record. So in our case, like the major important record is the third one. Of course, other records are also very much important, but this is the one which we have to refer whenever to deal with the joining with other tables. So the same relevant information, like I created a supplier, I could see the record in HZ parties, and same I could see record in the AP supplier table, right? So this AP supplier and HZ parties are related, and you can just need to join with the party ID. Based on that, you can get the information. And here just now, like we discussed, whenever you create any component, if you want to identify whether it's a supplier or a customer, you can just try to get into the information from HZ party usage assignments. From here, you can easily identify whether a particular component which we created is a supplier or supplier contact or organization contact, right? So now here, right? So this third record was supplier, and this is my supplier contact, and this is organization contact. Okay, so what you do is just try a demo and try to create a supplier and identify these particular 3 tables: HZ parties, AP suppliers, and HZ party usage assignments. And this is a ERD of a supplier. So you just need to know these set of basic level of tables to have a clarity on the suppliers. So if you want to link HZ parties with AP suppliers, the basic link between both of them is party ID is a relationship. In the same way, if you want to link HZ party sites with AP supplier sites, you just need to link party site ID with them, right? And this way you can try to link between HZ party sites as well as supplier sites. The same way you have the link between other information, like if you want to get the location of a particular supplier sites, you can just link with HZ locations. Based on that, you can get the location details also. Okay. And this is a customer ERD. So in the customer ERD, like whenever you create a customer, automatically you'll see a particular information in the HZ parties as well as HZ accounts, right? So here this particular HZ cust accounts will have cust account ID. Based on this, all your customer related table will have the information like HZ customer profiles, customer accounts, right? So but the main important table is always HZ parties. Using HZ parties, try to link between customer accounts, which will have information about customer, and based on this, you can join with other tables to get more information about the customer which you create, right? So I just performed the earlier approach which I mentioned, like for the same particular supplier, I want to create a customer. So I just enable this particular profile value and I just created a customer for that. And can you see? You can see that the same party ID 4386I2, I have a customer as well as a supplier. Okay. And next. Yes, coming to the final one, like coming to banks, branches, and accounts, there are 2 things here. One is internal bank, and another one is external bank. So when you say internal bank, this is the bank and branch name. Now let us say you have a bank account. So the first basic thing is, unless you have a bank, you cannot have a branch. You cannot have a bank account, right? As a customer, let us say customer name is XYZ, and like for a customer to have a bank account, first of all, a bank and branch should exist, right? Let us say SBI. So SBI is a bank name. SBI Miapur is a branch name, and customer XYZ. XYZ is a customer who has a account in the SBI bank in the Miapur branch. So first of all, a bank and a branch should exist. So what I'm doing is here I created a bank and branch. This comes part of a cash management model. If you want to create a bank and branch, you should have a responsibility cash management. From the cash management set of banks, you can just create a bank and branch. Once this is done, you can just try to validate the information using CG tables, cash management. CG, all the tables which are started CG, they belong to cash management module. So whenever you create a bank and branch, always they'll get created in the HZ parties table. Okay. And coming to the external stuff, like external bank accounts. So as I said, first of all, we have to create an internal bank. Then you have to deal with external bank accounts. Nothing but you have a bank and branch, and you want to create a particular bank account for a supplier. right? So supplier, like when you get into supplier page, and in that you'll have a left side, you'll see banking details. In the banking details, just click on create. It will provide an option to select the existing bank and branch, or you can also create a new bank and branch that becomes a part of internal bank and branch. Then once you link the bank and branch account with your supplier, you can mention your supplier account details, and this information will be available in the IBY tables. Okay, this is called external bank information. So in this particular screen, you can see that I joined with the headset parties with the IBY tables. There are 3 tables of IBY involved, and one is the CA table to get the bank and branch information. So for lead technology is a bank, lead technology is my party name, and here my bank account number is this one, and my branch name is Miapur, and this is my bank name, bank and branch name. So this is how you can get a clarity on the bank branches, internal and external, as well as the supplier and customer. Okay. So until unless you technically, if you want to have a clarity, just try to get a clarity on the ERD diagrams and create a sample record and try to analyze the heads tables and try to analyze the AP tables. Then you'll get much clarity on the customers, suppliers, and bank branches for the IBU relevant tables. Okay. So this is a very small overview of the TCA. Thanks for watching. Please do provide your valuable comments. Thank you.